Is Oprah's system set up like that though, where you just had video recordings of the lectures and then tests and all
Oh
the
no,
incentives
no,
turned around?
no, no. Yeah, no, it was just the opposite. It was a bunch of people holding hands and whatever. No, I just was using it as the example where Oprah did the, I'm going to change the world thing, but yeah, she's going to go change the world in Nairobi or something because it's cheaper there. She just did it on the cheap. You know, it's too expensive to change anything here. No, it's actually weird. I mean, I didn't do a whole lot of research on the Oprah thing, but I mean, she had this weird thing where, you know, this all girls school and that kind of crap, and they're doing the feminist thing, I guess. But yeah, no, it doesn't have anything to do with the paying students or any of that crap. I shouldn't have brought it up. I just meant that Oprah was doing it in the third world rather than doing it here. That's all I meant.
Yeah, because you can do whatever you want there. That's why it's easy. But I mean, I was thinking even over there, if you don't have taxes, just take the money that families would spend on tuition for the kids when they pass the test.
Well, exactly. I mean, you could just take the money this current system's making, and you're gonna win. You're gonna have plenty of money. System you have, you'll still save because you're not, wasting money on materials and all the other stuff. Obviously, you got to give people internet connections or cable. You got to give them one of the two. DVDs. You got to do something. But even that, just think, you could probably, if you had a set of 50 DVDs or something, you could put a lot of subjects on those DVDs. You imagine the amount of content, you could put on six, just even 100 DVDs would cost almost nothing if you produced them in mass. And you could almost take all the world's useful knowledge and put it on 100 DVDs. I mean, you probably do it on
Yeah, pretty much.
six.
And I mean, in addition to having all the like Wikipedia type knowledge, you just need to create some good multiple choice problems to practice on, and then get a good test. Are one thing that people don't put a lot of effort into. They're not respected, but there's good tests and there's bad tests.
Yeah, and it's not that much work, really, just to randomize a test. I mean, you come up with 500 questions, and you only give 100 of that sample to each person, and that kind of thing. And there's just so many ways to do it, and I don't know why that doesn't get done.
Well, the other thing I'm trying to make a video about is how all the economic indicators are really just set for rich people. Like when they say it's good for the economy, or the economy's doing well, or the economy's doing bad, it doesn't really matter to most people, but there's no indicator that matters to most people.
Yeah, well, the only thing they're focused on is the stock market because that's the viewership, or the people who are invested in the system. You know what I mean? Like if you had a horse in the race, then you're going to watch CNN because, you got a horse in the race, or CNBC or whatever the one financial one is. You're going to watch that shit because, yeah, your horse is in the race. But if you're not invested, then you're not going to, who cares? So, I mean, all that stuff is pretty much geared towards people who are invested.
That's why it's good to read Forbes magazine. Get the inside dirt.
Yeah, well, whatever. I don't, Forbes is such a useless bag of crap that I can't see anything. I can't. It's hard
Dude,
for me to imagine
if you read
there could
it,
be any
it's
content
all
of
of the
value.
people with power talking about what they're doing with their power. It's extremely
I
beneficial.
know, but they're. Well, I don't know. Like I said, I think that would be like reverse psychology or something. So it'd almost be backwards because if they're going to talk about it openly, yeah, exactly. Then they got some sort of devil plan. Um, but I just said, I mean, he's just such an idiot, and he's still editor of the magazine. I'm sure he doesn't let shit in that he doesn't, agree with. So, but who the hell knows? Might be just I mean, to pretend like they're giving away some secrets.
Well, the thing is, with the stock market, you can so easily bet on shit going down. I don't understand why everybody in that game cheers when stuff goes up. I mean, it's like when you go to a roulette table, are you going to cheer when it's black? And who cares? You bet black or you bet red.
Well, up and down do have different consequences, though, when people get the long-term investing thing. And I mean, there is the double benefit that, you know, if it's good for the perceived to be good for employment and all these other things. So I think it's sensible to have you know, a different appreciation for up versus down. But yeah, but there are different rules. I mean, you can't as easily bet on a stock going down, and they've made it harder to bet on a stock going down, just to keep people from doing it, because that puts downward pressure on stocks. So you have to put up a lot more money to back up your investment. You have to have enough leverage to do that, to do any short selling. So I mean, there's a bias towards buying rather than selling short.
Well, that's true, but then on the other hand, when the index goes down, it means people have taken their money out. So most people with the big stake in the game are making cash back. So um, they're kind of happy either way. But yeah, I agree. It's good for most people when it goes up directly. The people who are most invested probably don't really care either way, as long as they're ahead of the game a little bit.
Yeah, well, look, it's like any other pyramid scheme. You know what I mean? There's no obvious point where it falls apart. You know, it works in the beginning. You know, for the first 500 people in the game or whatever, the pyramid scheme works. Okay, but it doesn't have any sustainability. It can't work in the long term because it's a sham. It's bullshit. So, and the stock market runs on the same kind of mechanism. Okay, it runs on this momentum thing and on just these arbitrary numbers. I mean, the you know, the ratio of real value to stock price. You know, it can be 10. You know, stocks can be worth 10 times as much as their real value, or 20 times, or 40 times, or 70 times. The numbers are kind of arbitrary. But you know, once they start going over 100, those numbers are not going to be arbitrary anymore, and the pyramid scheme will be revealed for what it is. And that's sort of where the stock market is. I mean, everything's overvalued by, you know, you could only get a, you know, you're only going to get 10 cents on your dollar. I mean, that's all the stock is really worth. It's worth less than 10 cents on a dollar, you know, in real value. And it's all this perception of future earnings. And there is no future earnings. These companies are going to start eating each other. I mean, it's already happening. I mean, there's a lot of big companies that are in big fucking trouble financially. And, you know, if they try to save themselves, they're going to have a fire sale. And that's going to drive the profits down of all their competitors. I mean, Target is in shit shape, okay? They're financially shit. So if they start really, you know, putting the screws to it, you know, to save their business, you know, Walmart even going to make their profit margin's going to be hurt.
Yeah, I understand that at some point, you know, investing used to be about getting money to start a business and then realizing a return when the business grew. And then at some point it changed into becoming investing for the sake of swapping stocks. So you know, it's just swapping stocks. Nobody's putting anything into it and really getting anything out of it. It's all just BS.
Well, it really is funny, though, when you think about these companies that were publicly offered and they got a huge amount of money, and you know, in 5 years the company's got a huge amount of debt, and you're saying, well, what the fuck did you do with that $100 billion, you know, that you got when you offered the stock? I mean, how did you burn all that money?
I can't remember what I was going to say.
It's okay. I'm in that kind of mood myself. Numb and tired. Blah, blah, blah. Nothing new there.
Oh yeah, I remember now. Um, it's pretty it's pretty clear that natural resources should belong to people and belong to the government. You know, everybody should share the value of that because nobody built it. Nobody has a better claim to it than anybody else. But what about industry? That's Marx's idea that government should own industry. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't think own is the right word to use. I don't think it should be owned. I think it should all be not for profit. So, I mean, I think the government should create not for profit in a Geico company, you know, a little insurance company. And the insurance company doesn't pay anybody more than $100,000, and we elect the CEO, and he's responsible for managing the company, you know, the business. And there's no government union, there's no other interference besides us electing the management of the business. And so the consumers have their voice. We don't give too much voice to the employees, and it runs as a non-profit. And then I just say, okay, if somebody can do better, if somebody can create, yeah, they deserve to win that competition. But that they should always have that in the game. There should always be a non-profit, honest competitor in every industry, so that nobody can get out of control. I mean, we're always just having these lousy choices between Corporation A or Corporation B. We don't have any fucking honest, you know, generic, you know, low marketing, you know, don't play the corporate game, don't profit, no shareholders, no bullshit choice. We don't have that fucking choice, and we should have that fucking choice. I mean, there's no reason why we couldn't have bought into Medicare as an insurance, paying the realistic, real premiums, you know, for what the value would be, like any other insurance company. Why not? The whole infrastructure was there. Why couldn't they just set the premium and say your premiums are, you know, $2,500 a year and you get this coverage and blah, blah, blah. And that's it. What is the big... I mean, it's just irritating. And the reason why it didn't exist is because, yeah, it would have put so much pressure on all these other insurance companies, but they couldn't rip us off anymore. I mean, it's just so stupid. I mean, that's what the government should be doing, though. That should be the choice. Yeah, well, the problem with the United States Postal Service is because it's got a huge union, okay? It's the union that's controlling a huge percentage, a huge chunk of that agenda. And so it's not going to work. Obviously, you know, a preposterous government union is going to be so inefficient, it's going to kill the business, kill the efficiency. But you've got to concede the Postal Service does pretty fucking kick ass. You know, I mean, I haven't not gotten something in like a year, you know, or more. I mean, you know, the stuff gets here reliably, a rural address, you know, I mean, 3 days. It's working pretty fucking good, in my opinion. I just don't like that they, you know, they play this shipping game, you know, where they end up subsidizing, um, you know, some of the freight with the you know, it's like the old phone company deal where the local people pay more for, you know, and to subsidize the long distance people.